And as you know, the Ohio Department of Education is a great place to go for policy and guideline information and other resources. They have other links to professional development, links to resources to help your parents relative to the ELA, information on how teachers can work with parents to help them understand this process a little bit better. So I think that this is a wonderful place for you to refer your teachers to and administrators as it relates to the early learning assessment and the questions that may come to you. Technical questions, there's another site, and this is the data manager site, the data guidelines site, and want to make sure that you are aware of that. That is a location for, again, getting technical information. There's links to webinars posted by our vendor partner, as well as information on common errors. So what I'm going to do is just take a moment and we'll navigate to those sites so that you can see what's available. Teacher of the Year there. So to find it, you want to go to Topics and then select Early Learning, and then select Early Learning Assessment. Now again, for data managers, you're going to want to come down here and select Early Learning Assessment for administrators. And that's where you'll have, the list of information and resources specific to you and your role. And again, if you have not done so, I highly encourage you to do so after this session, to take a look at the information that's there and to pull down those resources that are pertinent to the work that you're doing. Again, I mentioned additional resources for families, wonderful pieces of information here on understanding the basics of the assessment and what it's about. So this is a great place for that, and information for teachers as well. Resources on training, information about how to connect with their SSTs and other providers for professional development. So again, want to make sure that you're aware of that. I know in other sessions, we may have just pointed to the link and said, take a look, but I think it's always a good idea for you to actually see it so that you can see what's available. I mentioned the data guidelines site at dataguidelines.kready.org is where you can find, again, how-to presentations. So if you're new to this and you want some general information on how to do something in the system, this is a good place to get that information. There's some guidelines and templates available here. Want to make sure that you're using the most current version of the templates for students and teachers and building administrators and enrollments. And to do that, you need to do that in the KReady system, not necessarily on this site. So want to make sure that that's where you go to download the templates that you would use to upload to the system. Again, links to webinars provided by Johns Hopkins, our vendor partner, and you'll find links there for Ohio as well. So wanted to make sure that you were aware of what's available to you on these two locations. And now we'll take you over to the KReady support site, which I think most of you know and know how to get there, how to get to, because you've signed up for this webinar, unless you did so via the email that came from the department. But to do that, you come to our ohio-k12.help site, the data manager training. And again, this is where the handouts are for today, but the additional webinars that we have, again, there's a webinar that's coming up, a Q&A webinar we encourage you to be a part of. And there's a survey link that we're taking some time to ask you what it is you'd like us to talk about in that webinar. So if you would be so kind as to click on that link and fill that out for us. I think that runs for another week or so, and then we'll collect that information and figure out how best to put that session together. So I wanted to show you where the webinars were. but also to show you the resources here that are available. So by topic currently, and we mentioned the video on how to format. So clicking on data loading brings you right to that video, and you can click that video and go through and get a refresher on the information on how to format. One other thing I do want to point out, and we're trying to make sure that this is up to date, there is a calendar here. And it does, again, list information like today's webinar. You click on that, it gives you some information and details. It also lists when the assessment window opens. Anytime we get information from ODE regarding EMIS window, we try to make sure we post that information as well. And you can also click on agenda. If you don't want to click through the months, you can click on agenda and just get a running list of what's available. And then here are some important pieces for you to remember and to think about. So again, want to make sure that you're checking and ensuring that all the data is formatted correctly. Encourage you to load your teachers and load your student data first, and then do the enrollments with the new data token, which is listed there. ELA SP20 is the token for this window. And then on the right, you see the timeline. The window opens on the 15th. It will close on May 15th. We have data cleanup for data managers from the 15th through May 21st. And then it is hoped that the LP reports will be available on the 22nd of May.